Good evening and thank you for being with us. The Canada-U.S. border crossing into Fort Frances saw some huge lineups earlier today as American visitors were allowed to drive into Canada for the first time in a year and a half. But it was a much different story at the Pigeon River crossing, which saw comparatively little traffic. The reopening came after a deal was reached with unionized Canada Border Services officers this weekend. William Dougal has more.
The border into Canada reopened to double-vaccinated non-essential U.S. travelers just before midnight Sunday, and already some border crossings are completely bogged down. This was the scene along Highway 53 in International Falls on Monday morning, as the crossing into Fort Frances had a lineup that stretched around 3 miles long. The video was shot by International Falls Chamber of Commerce President Tricia Heibel. She says many Americans began planning these trips following the announcement by the Trudeau government in early July, and officials have been warning people to expect lengthy delays on day one of the reopening.
It could be upwards of a half hour or longer per car of 4 roughly to process. They seem to be in that 30 to 40 minute per car ratio, and the wait times they had said could be possibly anywhere between 7 and 9 hours. And I believe from some of the cars I've talked to outside our office, they're probably around that 8-hour mark currently.
Despite the wait times seen at the Fort Frances border, the Pigeon River border is doing just fine. Many Americans are crossing, coming up to hunt, fish, and do other recreational activities. To many, this is an amazing escape.
And we're very excited to get up here. Again, it's almost 2 years for us, but we're anxious to get back and just, I think Bill, our partner, said just to relax a little bit and just enjoy our fishing trip.
Pigeon River officials reported mainly slow traffic volumes throughout the opening morning. Meanwhile, back in International Falls, Heibel says she and her chamber members hope that the busy flow of traffic can be reciprocated soon, whenever the American side of the border reopens to Canadian travelers.
Now, admittedly, we were a little disappointed when the U.S. extended to at least August 21st, and we didn't kind of reciprocate that August 9th date with Canada. So we hope to see by the end of the month still that we have more free traffic kind of moving back and forth between us, definitely.
William Dougal, TBT News.
For the first time in more than 3 weeks, a COVID-19 patient has been admitted to the Regional Health Sciences Center. That patient's being treated in the ICU. The news comes as the Thunder Bay District Health Unit also announced a new COVID case today. It comes from the Thunder Bay area, and the cause of the infection is unknown. That brings the number of active cases in the district to 4. Meanwhile, to the western part of the region, there are 3 new cases coming from the Northwestern Health Unit. 2 are in the Kenora area, while the other comes from the Rainy River region. There are now 4 active cases across the NWHU catchment area. The president of the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce is backing the Ontario Chamber and those in other provinces in voicing their support for a national vaccine passport. The Ontario Chamber sent a letter today to the Premier, Prime Minister, and both federal and provincial health ministers. The letter says a centralized proof of immunization system would further encourage more Canadians to get vaccinated and let more businesses safely reopen and stay open. The Chamber says that until a national standard is created, Ontario should look at adopting Manitoba's system, which uses double vaccination cards or digital QR codes. Chamber President Charlotte Robinson stressed the need for clarity from the Ford government, saying businesses cannot afford to shut down again.
And so we need the province to provide us with clarity as to what is their plan to ensure that businesses will not have to close down, whether that's proof of vaccination, whether that's rapid testing for those who aren't vaccinated to have access, whether that's capacity limits. There's various tools that are available to the government, but this lack of clarity is really concerning.
While the uncertainty remains, Robinson says businesses should take advantage of the free rapid tests that the Chamber is making available to ensure all of their employees are safe at work. Hundreds of evacuees from 2 Northern First Nations currently staying in Thunder Bay are set to return home this week. Residents of Poplar Hill First Nation will begin heading back tomorrow, and those from Deer Lake are set to follow on Thursday. More than 1,100 evacuees, most of them from those 2 communities, have been staying here in Thunder Bay for several weeks due to wildfires burning across much of the Northwest. On Thursday, the city's Municipal Emergency Control Group denied a request to accept the transfer of 470 Deer Lake evacuees currently staying in Cornwall, saying Thunder Bay's resources were already stretched to the limit. However, due to the improving fire situation, that transfer request has now been withdrawn, as though those evacuees are also set to return home starting tomorrow. Well, Centennial Park attraction is once again shut down, but this time it isn't related to COVID-19. This past Saturday, the Muskeg Express went off the rails, literally. Despite numerous tests and getting the all clear to return, excited riders were quickly disappointed when the train through the forest was shut down once again. Corey Nordstrom has details.
An unfortunate reoccurrence took place this weekend. The Muskeg Express was derailed less than 2 hours into its first day of public use in roughly 2 years. No one was hurt in the incident, but city park staff like Werner Schwar were confused. Although there has been a history of the train coming off the tracks, they felt prepared for a smooth reopening.
It has undergone repairs over the past year, and I think everyone was fairly confident that those would be effective.
The city cited a problem with the tracks as reason for its closure. One of the main areas of work over the past year was track alignment. Andrew Folds represents the Current River Ward on City Council, which includes Centennial Park. He was among a large number of locals looking forward to having the mini track back in action.
I'm really disappointed. I'm certainly frustrated because it means so much to people. Even like Friday, Saturday, I was getting texts and emails, is it going to be up and running? I can't wait to take my kids out there.
Folds is a longtime advocate of the Muskeg Express. When it was on the chopping block in 2018, he was a part of a major push in order to get it $50,000 worth of funding. With the latest derailment, he's not so sure it can be saved, but he's remaining optimistic.
I'm hopeful that when the engineers take a look at what happened, that I'm hopeful that it's a reasonable fix, of course. Once we've got the answers, we'll have to make a decision. I am hopeful that council will continue to support this asset.
The Muskeg Express will remain at the derailment site so TSSA and the contracted engineers can better assess the cause of its derailment and eventually find a solution to the problem.
That will take longer than a week, right? Especially because lots of different options have been investigated over the last year. So, and all those improvements were done. So now it's going to be a matter of first determining if some of those improvements need to be improved or if there's another issue.
Schwar asks that members of the public keep their distance to not disturb the investigation. He adds that it is a possibility the train does not return to service this year. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Political leaders from all parties and everyday Ontarians are pausing to remember former Premier Bill Davis today after he passed away at the age of 92 this weekend. He was a compelling figure, not just at the helm of Canada's most populous province, but for his influence on the federal scene. Heather Butts has more on the Davis legacy.
New Premier of Ontario.
When it came to politics, Bill Davis was undefeated, winning his own riding several times, the PC party leadership, and 4 straight elections. He never lost.
What made him successful was his decency, his integrity, and his balance.
First elected to the legislature in 1959,
we must deal with this situation.
He became Ontario's 18th and one of the country's longest-serving premiers in 1971, holding the position until he stepped down at the height of his popularity in 1985.
He was an extremely lovable man, and he had a great gift of friendship that extended to all people of all walks of life and to people in all political parties.
Davis was a mentor to Toronto Mayor John Tory, and when it came to policy,
the things he did demonstrated incredible foresight.
Davis ushered in much of what is Ontario today. He's credited with creating the province's community college system, new ministries, and worked to build key tourist attractions.
He saw the fact that we needed to have everybody included in Ontario society.
His influence extended far beyond Ontario's borders.
He put the country first, I think, because as a premier, he's always been a Canadian first.
Bill Davis was a key player in Pierre Trudeau's crusade to repatriate the Constitution in 1982.
He believed Canada works best when the Prime Minister of the country and the Premier of the largest province are together on the big thing.
A pride that never waned.
We're fortunate as Canadians to have what we have available to us.
Bill Davis will be remembered as a skilled opponent in the political ring, using his pipe to great effect, not talking, he was listening.
He listened to the competing arguments. He was able to find the sweet spot and therefore was able collaboratively to get things done in a way that stood the test of time.
A legacy to admire. Heather Butts, CTV News, Toronto.
It's an epidemic that's been largely overshadowed by the global pandemic, opioid overdoses. The problem has spread to nearly every community in the region with often devastating effects. But a mother from Fort Frances is now taking a stand against the fentanyl dealers, the lack of support in the justice system, and the secretive nature of discussing overdoses. Adam Riley has the story.
There's an evil on the streets of Fort Frances, and it's opioid. It's in homes where children are being raised. They're seeing it. It's in homes you least expect.
At just 17 years of age, Trayden Thompson was a promising young man, fueled by the love of the outdoors and a job lined up at an area gold mine. However, all that changed during a visit to Fort Frances in early January, when his mother, Cora Gagne, received the call no mother ever wants to receive.
January the 18th, I was in my office and I received a horrific phone call that my son had overdosed. I didn't understand how it was even possible. We live in Manitoba and my son was not using.
Gagne was joined by more than 40 other community members for a rally on August 6th with just one message for those who officiate justice in the region.
Protect our children! Stop letting drug dealers go!
Gagne says that message comes as a result of many documented cases in the district with dealers of deadly fentanyl receiving what she says amounts to a slap on the wrist.
Charged with trafficking, different things that are killing our young people, stand before a judge, back out on the streets 2 or 3 days later. It's murder. It's fentanyl homicide. It is killing a generation of people. My son happened to be one of them. This is a scary, scary, scary epidemic, and the people that are selling it are playing Russian roulette.
Among the crowd was Fort Frances Mayor June Call, a former teacher who was deeply affected by Trayden's death, as she taught him when he was in kindergarten.
And I want to cry now just thinking about him. You know, it's heartbreaking when you have these children that you raise, and I've always thought of every child I ever taught as my own kids. I always tell their parents, they're mine now, not just yours. To see that that had happened to him just when he came home just for a holiday with his friends, and he winds up not being able to go back home to his family. It broke my heart.
In addition to stopping the revolving door with fentanyl dealers, Gagne wants to see the hush-hush mentality with overdoses eliminated. Call believes town council could shine a spotlight on the issue through a resolution, which would then be sent on to higher levels of government and other municipal associations. The investigation into Trayden's death is still ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to contact police. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Well, live music is finally back in Thunder Bay. The Live at the Bedrock Music Festival was held yesterday in the backyard at Roots to Harvest. Despite some rain, attendees were still able to enjoy original and cover music from a variety of local artists. Mitchell Gringos has that story.
The event hosted 8 artists such as John Paul DeRuver, Greg Smith, Rodney Brown, and many more. This was the first live show back for some of these artists and had a sold-out crowd of 150 tickets. The event was chosen to be at the Roots to Harvest Garden because of the location size, small enough to be part of the concert, but big enough for restrictions. Administration coordinator for the event, Ellie Toes, spoke about finally being able to have live music.
But there's nothing like in-person live music, and it just feels so good to be able to watch the music, watch the musicians, interact. There's just a chemistry that happens there, plus the chemistry that happens with the other people that are in the audience.
And the artists shared the same appreciation for getting back in front of a live crowd. As one of the artists for the event, Greg Smith, talked about drifting away from music during COVID, but is feeling inspired once again here at Live on the Bedrock.
It means everything to be able to play for people. That's the whole point for me, and maybe one of the reasons I kind of slowed down with my music during COVID, because if I couldn't play live, I wasn't sure I really wanted to play at all.
The event that started at 2 p.m. lasted all the way until 10 p.m., giving the community 8 wonderful hours of music, which we asked the locals at the event how amazing it was to be part of such a moment.
It's great, actually, to come see a show again, you know, like I haven't for years now, and then because of COVID, you know, like, I like it. I enjoy it.
It's good to get out
Yes.
outside and be around people again and actually talk to like live people instead of just on camera.
Exactly.
It's on the weekend of the Red Rock Folk Festival, and the Bedrock was established in kind of memory or like missing of that. And so I'm super happy to be listening to live music on this weekend in particular.
And with live music back here in Thunder Bay, this will be the last time Live on the Bedrock will run during the summer, as they will then move back to their multiple winter events. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
And I really have to say, it's very nice to see those events return, isn't it?
Very much so, yep.
Listen, Fiona, what's maybe not so nice to see returning is those